Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing another top 10 video. We're going to be doing the top 10 third baseman in Diamond Dynasty. And third baseman is actually kind of a weirder position. They don't have a ton of like really good flashbacks. I mean, they have some that are really good, but they have a ton, or they have a whole bunch of like really good live series third basemen. So that doesn't happen very often with positions in MLB The Show, especially this late in the year. Usually the flashbacks have kind of come up and gotten better than the live series cards, but at third base, that's really not the case. The live series are in much more abundance than the flashbacks. So let's go ahead and get into the top 10, starting with some honorable mentions. Okay, we have 5 honorable mentions that just didn't quite make the cut for the list. The first one is the 86 overall Brooks Robinson. Then you got the 85 overall Edgar Martinez, the 89 overall Joe Torre, the 85 overall Chase Headley, and then the 85 overall Pablo Sandoval. And the last two were really tough for me to leave off the list because they're switch hitters, they're very balanced hitters, and they're pretty versatile as well. So I really wanted to get them in the list, but I just wasn't able to after I put together the top 10. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into number 10. At number 10, we have the 85 overall Justin Turner, and there's a lot to like about this card, but I debated for a long time between him, Headley, and Sandoval for the number 10 spot. But what ultimately ended up giving the top spot to this Justin Turner is just the fact that he has a little bit more power versus those guys, especially versus lefties. He has a couple quirks that he can go to. He's very versatile. He has a lot of vision, so he's always going to have a good size PCI, good contact. He's not the best defensively, and he's not super fast or anything like that, but the fact that he hits so well, and you can play him middle infield, you can play him at first base, third base, anywhere like that, gives this card the edge, and that's why he gets the number 10 spot. At number 9 is the 92 overall Wade Boggs, and I debated, man, I thought about putting this card as high as like number 4, or maybe even number 5. I really had to try to figure out how much to value that contact and vision, and then balance that against his lack of power compared to some other guys. His power really doesn't lag that far behind, though. I mean, 65, 62, it's not ideal, but it's enough to be a very effective player, and he's also a very good fielder. A lot to like about this card, but just the fact that he simply isn't going to hit for a ton of power versus both sides. Generally, whenever I get my third baseman, I want to get a guy that hits for a ton of power, a guy that is gonna, you know, maybe second only to my left fielder and my first baseman, or I guess third only to my left fielder and third baseman in terms of power. That's one of the spots where you really want to get it, and the fact that you would be sacrificing that to pick up a good bit of contact and vision. He's going to give you average defense as well, maybe slightly above average. So it's a really good card, but just know that you are going to be making some sacrifices if you pick this card up. At number 8 is the 87 overall Jose Ramirez, and this was kind of one of the cards that I was debating about whether or not I should put him above the Boggs or not, but I decided in the end that I did prefer this card a good deal more. First of all, against righties, he has a good bit more power, 76 power. That's going to be enough to be really good for you. He also has inside edge for the time being, so that's kind of a thing. He has a couple of good quirks that he can go back to. He's still very good, a very good contact hitter, has good vision. He's not the best defensively, but he is one of the faster third basemen that you'll see out there. So he could be at least somewhat of a threat on the base paths. And then the big selling point for me is the fact that he's a switch hitter, that he can hit pretty well versus both righties and lefties, and you're never going to have a disadvantage while you're at the plate. And he's so versatile as well. He can play first, second, short, left field. Used to, he could play anywhere in the outfield, I think. But that's been limited to left field now. But still, just an extremely versatile, extremely valuable player, and that's why he gets the number 8 spot on my list. At number 7 is one of the better live series hitters in the game. He's also extremely versatile. He has some speed for a third baseman, and he's about average defensively, maybe slightly below. But overall, just a really solid card, this 86 overall Kris Bryant. The thing that I love about this card is you can play him anywhere on the corners. I wouldn't play this card in center field, but third base, first base, left field, right field, you can play him anywhere, and you're going to be getting a very solid bat. He's a very balanced hitter. He hits lefties very well. He hits righties really well. He doesn't have as much vision as some of the other guys on this list, but the contact should make up for that a little bit. He also has a couple good quirks, like a lot of these live series cards do, that can be pretty effective for you. And he's going to be a big power bat in your lineup, especially whenever he's playing up with inside edge. And so yeah, I had to put him pretty high on the list, but given the fact that he's not the best defensively, and there are some hitters that can outpower him, I guess, that kind of kept me from putting him any higher than this on the list. But I think number 7 is about the right spot. I feel pretty good about putting him here. Next up is the 85 overall Josh Donaldson, and it was pretty close between him and Kris Bryant. I went back and forth on both of them for a while, but the thing that made me go with this Donaldson was two things. One, he just has more power than the Kris Bryant does at the moment. 87-91. You know how important power is nowadays. And yeah, so he has a big advantage there, but he kind of the Kris Bryant has the advantage when it comes to contact and vision. So you might take that into account and prefer the Kris Bryant, but the fact that this card has a little bit more power and the fact that he is a good bit better defensively, I would say this is an above average defensive third baseman. I think that's pretty valuable, and I think that that could help you out a lot. And you're going to be able to just get higher exit velos with this card. Maybe not significantly, but a good bit. And for that reason, it could go either way. I think him and Kris Bryant are pretty interchangeable. But I think that the 6th spot is about right for this Josh Donaldson card. At number 5 is the 88 overall Evan Longoria, and this card is very similar to the Kris Bryant offensively. The Kris Bryant, admittedly, is a little bit better offensively than this Evan Longoria, but this Evan Longoria is still just a very balanced hitter across the board. He's got solid power, solid contact. Vision is a little lower, but it's not terribly low or anything like that. You're going to be fine when it comes to that. But the thing that gave this card the edge over the Kris Bryant is the fact that he is just an elite defender. There aren't many third basemen out there that are going to be able to be better than this card defensively. 91, 85, 86, 82 across the board. I mean, that is some nasty stuff defensively. There's not going to be a lot that gets by this 88 Evan Longoria. And then you don't have to sacrifice any hitting or anything like that to get into it. So the fact that he's much better defensively than the Donaldson and the Bryant, and you're not sacrificing that much at the plate in order to get that defense, I think that gives this card the edge over those two, and it earns him a spot in the top 5. At number 4 is a card that I overlooked last year, and by the end of the year, he ended up being like the best card on my team, and that is the 91 overall David Wright. Now, I know that this is a different year, that there are cards out there, or that cards play different than they did last year, and this isn't exactly the same card as last year, but it's very, very similar. And I had to give this card props because I know once I get him in my hands, I'm going to love this card. I know the one big thing that everybody's going to look at is that 64 power versus right-handed pitching. But from what I know about David Wright and his swing and how it plays, that this card is just so easy to hit with generally. Now, I know that could change and everything, but until I see the fact that it has changed, I'm going to give this card all the props in the world. But last year, I think I ended the year hitting like 460 or something like that with this card. And if you just look at his raw hitting numbers, other than the 64 power versus righties, which, again, I got to emphasize is not bad at all, his other hitting stats are unbelievable. 90, 114, 84 power versus lefties, 73 vision. I mean, he's a very, very, very good hitter. He's a very well above average defender. He's not at that elite territory that like Evan Longoria or some other guys are, but he's still very, very good. And then he's probably the best base runner out of anybody in this group that I've talked about so far. He's gonna, with 66 speed and 78 stealing, he is going to be a factor on the base paths for you. So I got to factor that in as well. I think this is definitely a top 5 card. Maybe you could argue that a couple other guys deserve to be ahead of him, but I love this card. Whenever I get him, I'm going to use him just to see if he's as good as he was last year. And yeah, that's why he comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is the best live series third baseman in the game. The 90 overall Nolan Arenado is an absolute monster. Hitting, fielding, everything except speed, I guess. This card is a monster. 79-83 versus righties, 93-85 versus lefties, 78 vision. You're gonna have a big PCI that has a lot of power behind it. He's got inside edge. He's got some good quirks if you're looking for that. Lot to like about this card offensively, but then you go to his defense, and there aren't many third basemen that can do what this guy does. The only concern about his defense is that 68 reaction, so he might get beat every now and then on hard hit ground balls or something. But I have a feeling if he gets to the ball, he is going to make the play. 98 fielding is elite of the elite at third base. It doesn't get a lot better than that. And if he makes the play, he's got a really strong arm, 87 overall, to get the ball across the plate and get the out. I mean, he's just an overall phenomenal player. 4-tool guy. He doesn't have the speed, so I can't call him a 5-tool guy, but his 4 tools are about as good as it gets in MLB The Show. So yeah, I have to give this card props. He is my number 3 overall third baseman. And yeah, there were just 2 other guys that were too good. I could not put him ahead of them. So let's go ahead and get into them right now. At number 2 is the 93 overall Eddie Mathews. I know a lot of people might want me to put this card at number 1. I couldn't for reasons you'll see in just a minute, but as far as offensively, this is the best offensive third baseman in the game. You're going to get more offensively out of this guy than any other card. He's extremely balanced. Versus righties, he's a monster. Versus lefties, he's a monster. He has 85 vision, 105 discipline. Big PCI, you're not going to strike out much. If you care about clutch, he's also very clutch. One of the best hitters available in the game right now. He's also defensively, once again, he's not a bad fielder. He's just average. You know, I wouldn't even say below average. He is just flat out average. He is like your prototypical average third baseman. Doesn't have a lot of speed to write home about. This guy is a pure offensive play, and he's a really, really good one at that. He also is a lefty, and you know, lefties tend to hit a little bit better against righties, so you've got that going for you. And then, but if you have to face a lefty, if you have to go lefty on lefty, he's got that 109 power to fall back on, and he's going to be hitting missiles consistently for you. Just a fantastic card, and he deserves... Man, any other position, it would be tough not to give him the number 1 spot, but there was just one guy who I couldn't put this guy above, so let's go ahead and get into our number 1 third baseman. Okay, there was just no way that I could put anyone other than the 96 overall Adrian Beltre at the number 1 spot. I know that this card isn't as balanced as that Eddie Mathews is, but, man, there's just so much I like about this card, offensively, defensively. Let's start with his defense. There isn't a third baseman right now in the game that is better than this Adrian Beltre defensively. Not even like that Brooks Robinson card, like if you want to look at it real quick, this card right here, I would still take the Beltre because the Beltre has slightly better reaction than that Brooks Robinson card, and he's still just as good at everything else. But you know, having that phenomenal defense over there would be one thing, but then you're going to get one of the best hitters in the game as well, especially versus righties. 107, 106 versus righties is unbelievable. It is one of the best hitters available in the game right now. In fact, that might be the best hitter versus righties available in the game right now that you can pick up right now. Is Vlad better than that? Vlad might be better than that, but I don't know. There aren't many that hit that 107, 106 mark. That is extremely good. Versus lefties, he's just going to be very good, like solid, you know, 80, 71. It's plenty to be an effective hitter. No need to like platoon or anything like that. And he has that 85 vision to fall back on as well. Big PCI, big time power, fantastic defensively, everything that you could want in your third baseman. And for that reason, I had to put him at the #1 spot. Once again, you know, if you want to know the rules of how I put this together, go and watch the first video I did, the top 10 catchers. But basically, you know, I couldn't put the immortal Chipper Jones in here. Once he comes out, I'll put him in. I also couldn't put the diamond Chipper Jones in here because that card is actually a left fielder. His primary position is left field, so I couldn't consider him either. So it had to be the 96 overall Adrian Beltre. And let me know in the comments if you guys agree. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the notification button. I always forget to tell you guys to do that. That would really help me out. It'll let you know whenever I come out with a new video or whatever. Hit the like button on this video. That also helps me out a ton. And yeah, I will see you guys later. But until then, peace.